Okay, today is Monday, August the 13th, and I finished up with my painting yesterday, and I'll show you a close-up of that. Hopefully that you can see that. This is the one where I did the previous study of Burson Road. I did it in gouache to see if I thought there was something there, and I've liked this scene for a while now, and I just didn't ever do anything with it, but I revisited it this weekend and thought that there was something there. So anyway, I finished up, and a couple of things that happened. I had some difficulty on this larger canvas again with coverage, and I think it's because of the texture of the canvas, and so I'm not sure what's going on with that, but that's just kind of how it is. The second thing that I came across was the shape of where this tree meets up with these trees right here, and I know that there are rules about tangencies, things that touch each other or don't touch each other, as it were, and I decided that I wasn't going to get hung up on that. And it's true that these trees are touching and that they're making this curvy shape, and that's going to have to be okay. The second thing that happened was this space right here and this space over here, and whether or not that was going to be a problem, and whether or not the shape like this, if that was going to be an issue, because the trees really do sort of fuse together in a way, and so a challenge for me was to show how the one tree was in front of the other tree. And you know, short of looking at the trunks, you kind of have to see that the size of the trees are fairly similar, so that might have been a challenge that I could have addressed more effectively, but I'm not overly disturbed by it, and I don't know that it detracts from the composition in a really enormous way that is so distracting. So, you know, to each his own. This is my aesthetic, and I decided to leave it like that, and I find it to be pleasant enough. So that was that. The other thing that I noticed as I was going along was that I excluded, in the end, I excluded the fence line that was here and here, and there's something about a small little fence that I don't do well. I'm better with larger fences. I've certainly done them before. So even though I had put it in and it was in my original composition, I ended up taking it out. And that brings me to what I really learned about editing this time around, was that even though my original composition had an element in it that I found pleasing and I thought would make a good picture, in the end I took it out because A, I didn't do it well, and B, it wasn't really that necessary to the story of the picture, which was this road and the overhang of the trees. And so I think it's easy enough to see that the road goes back, that the shadows are spilling across, that there are some things in the foreground, some things in the midground, and some things in the background. So in the end I took the fence out. As I said, I didn't do it well and it wasn't necessary for the story. Which brings me to the second thing that I learned, which I'm kind of interested in and excited about. So, you know, I'm reading that Stephen King book, and it's about writing, but one of the points that he brings up is that some advice that he was given when he was a young man about revising your draft, your first and second draft. So an editor told him that let me see if I can get this right, the second draft equals the first draft minus 10%. So in other words, the second draft of the letter or the novel that you do should be longer, should be like the first draft, and then take out 10%. And I thought, well, that's clever. I bet that applies to painting also. And I sort of started to think about the number of times that I've tried to include too many elements as I go along, too many different colors, too many different lines, too many different shapes, and you get a little excited as you're painting and maybe add things when you shouldn't, and in the end it's okay to take elements out. And I think the same applies for quilting, especially the kind of quilting that like Deborah does, where she's doing things in an impromptu fashion as she goes. I think it's okay to take some things out. So that's just a little piece of advice that I read. I thought I'd pass that along. So often we want to edit something, but we really don't know how. And I think that's one way to do it. So anyway, I'm done with this one. I photographed it. I'm including the photograph on the blog, and I'm going to move on to my next painting, and I'll let you know about that.